because whether it's cleaning a room,
Mhm.
running a marathon, setting a goal for yourself, what have you learned during the course of your running life that has helped you set goals and establish routines to be successful in other aspects?
Yeah. Well, I've learned that I can do hard things and that success takes a lot of time and effort, and it's not going to happen overnight. I can be a very impatient person, and I like to do things quickly and just to get them done because I just want to have it done. But with running, I've had to learn that, especially in training for the marathon, and that's my at this point in my life, that's my favorite distance to train for and to run right now. And to do that properly, it's going to take time. You have some 16 weeks. Well, that's a long time for anything. And I was never used to doing anything for that long. My first marathon back in 2011, I didn't have a coach at that time, but I followed a 20-week training plan. And when I finished, and I hardly missed any days or any of the training things. I didn't run every day, but I followed that pretty much to a T. When I finished that, I was amazed. I'd never done anything for that long of a time. And that it's really taught me patience, and that it's okay for things to take a long time, and it doesn't mean that you're not going to be successful. And there's different ways to obviously measure success, because usually the marathon is going to win, so to speak. But I don't know if that answers your question, but yes, it's just definitely taught me a lot of patience, I'll say.
No, that 100% does, and that actually I that resonates with me a lot, especially now because I have a lot of goals, not necessarily for the new year.
Mhm.
We're recording this now; it's just after the new year, and so I have a lot of goals, not necessarily for the year, but that kind of lie ahead, and they feel like very tall mountains to climb.
Right.
And that's something that I'm trying to constantly remind myself of is that a little bit every day makes a big difference.
Right.
And there's so many things in life where that is so hard to do. But the marathon or just running in general is such a good analogy for that because it ultimately really does come down to one foot in front of the other, doesn't it? I
Right. It
mean,
does, for sure.
and it is always interesting to see people finish. I always think it's so cool at the end of races, like to see the different emotions that people have. You have some people who it's like just a day at the office.
Right.
And then you have some people who, like me, when I finished my half, I like immediately like burst into tears, as my wife gave me a hug because it just meant a lot, like, to
Yeah.
where you were to where you've been. And then you have others who are just over the moon, happy as can be.
Right.
Um, what's this is just random pop in my head. What's the strangest reaction to finishing a race that you've ever seen?
um I was So the mini marathon, before I became the race director, I used to volunteer, and I'd ran that race several times as well. But this one year I was volunteering, and I was passing out the finisher medals, and someone crossed the finish line and they threw up at my feet.
Classic running.
It didn't get on me, and it's somebody that I knew, so we kind of laugh about it to this day. It's like, oh,
That's
okay.
even
So,
better that it's someone that you knew. That's
yes.
fantastic.
Yeah. So yeah, that was very interesting. So
That was one actually, this was at a Disney race, was the first time that I ever saw runners actually throw up,
okay.
which was weird. And, like, what amazed me was, just this was it was late in the race,
Mhm.
so everyone's feeling it, and this person just, like, was running in front of me, and all of a sudden, just very casually steps off the road, throws up, stands up, and just keeps going. And I was behind him far enough to where I could see this happen, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Well, if they can do this, I guess I've got it."
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
classic.
Classic.